What is up, you guys? Martin McFly coming at you, bringing you guys the merch. Merry Christmas and a happy early New Year to everyone. Can't believe our little channel's growing. We're at 414 subs. Over the period of 5 years with working full time, I was actually kind of shocked to see at least a little bit of growth. It's been, it's certainly not easy trying to fulfill the obligations of real life and then trying to start a YouTube channel. And granted, I don't edit my videos, which is probably obvious to the rest of you, but it is fun. Got to meet a lot of great people via the YouTube vinyl community, I guess you could say, and got a lot of great recommendations from heavy metal that way. So if I could even maybe introduce one person to a different band that they had never been previously heard of, which I've had a couple times on this channel, then it's totally worth it. And I get a chance to meet some really great and unique metalheads. So cheers to you guys and happy New Year and Merry Christmas. Now, my Barnes and Noble, one of my, I guess you could say, my OG Barnes and Noble that I remember growing up with fondly, and just hours and hours and hours of time spent in this particular Barnes and Noble, whether it was music, movies, books, or just going to the Starbucks and grabbing coffee. I have spent many, many hours in this particular Barnes & Noble, and it's moving for the first time in 25 years or something like that. So they're going to a new location, which is fine. And I say I'm a little bit bummed because the location that it's in, the building is so unique. I've never seen another Barnes & Noble shaped the way this one was set up. It's got 270-degree glass window views, and it really does allows a lot of natural light into the store. And then it's got a Starbucks on kind of like an elevated platform that sits in the middle of it. So you have a 360-degree area to drink your coffee, read your book, etc. So this place means a lot to me. I was kind of bummed to hear that they're moving because I love this particular building. But I guess the new place they're beginning is going to be shiny and beautiful and gorgeous, and I'm sure the real estate for this particular one was probably really expensive. So I drove a couple hours back and visited this Barnes & Noble because I saw that they were having a closing sale. And I think I read online saying that there's so many books that are 50% off with just because it was after Christmas. Well, I didn't realize that this store was actually having a moving/closing sale, and everything in the store is 50% off. I think the only thing that wasn't on sale was the Legos. So in this case, everything you buy is 50% off. Books, movies, whatever. So of course, I had to go do some hunting, and I did. So this video is going to be a little bit more book-centric. Some books I've been wanting to read for the last couple of years that I'm really grateful that I was able to get for a really reasonable price, and we do have some merch. And one of our merch comes from my brother, one of my closest friends, who I call my brother. He's basically blood to me. The Great Logan. Thank you, brother. I appreciate the Christmas gift. We'll get to that soon. So this is a series I've really, really taken a lot of interest in, and this guy actually won the Pulitzer Prize for the stuff he's done. And this is actually part of the Revolution trilogy, but this is The Fate of the Day, Rick Atkinson. These books are replete with documents and pictures and photographs and all these just great things from I don't want to say photographs necessarily, but really just filled with so many great details about our American history. And whether you have a plus or a negative to say about the guy or his text or the way things are written, I would say this is a pretty in-depth analysis of just some parts of our history. And there's pluses and minuses to every author, and I think that's kind of how writing is at this point, at this juncture. So, of course, there's pluses and minuses to this, but I love anything about history in general, and I really enjoy just learning about where we came from. And I would say this is no different. I mean, the reason I wanted this one is because this starts with Ticonderoga to Charleston. And this book is actually really expensive on the regular price. This is $42 for the hardback. And, it's not cheap, but the fact that I was able to get it on sale, and I got it for a really great price at my local Barnes & Noble, I would say I was very, very pleased with picking this up. So this is one of the ones I got. On to the next one. Now, I've known about this book for quite a while, and of course, they turned it into a movie And then it became a very well-known TV show, and the TV show is fantastic, maybe even better than the movie, because the movie was very Hollywood, and it is what it is. But I would say I really enjoy what they've done with this, and of course, this is James Clavell's Shogun. The show's great. You can obviously tell that Tom Cruise's Last Samurai had a lot of influence coming from this, but this is really a fantastic book. I haven't been able to finish, but I've always wanted to grab my own copy of it. So with this, now that I've seen the show and the movie and started the book multiple times, but keep forgetting to read because I have to read everything else, I finally can sit down and read this. I got this for a really great price. Now, this is something I've heard a lot of good stuff about. Basically, like gothic horror, but just some brutal stuff. And this is Kill Creek. I've watched a lot of YouTube channels and people talking about this book, as far as especially reading around the Halloween season, which I'm a big fan of reading. Anything horror, anything Halloween, anything that can really just put a chill down my spine. So this was another one I got. Been really looking forward to this for a long time. This is from Scott Thomas, and I really hope lives up to the hype. Because there are some horror books I've been reading recently that I really did not feel like they lived up to the hype at all. And I would say the two I looked forward to the most. One is My Heart is a Chainsaw, and there's some parts of it I really enjoyed, and there's parts of it I felt like were quite a bit of a letdown. But then I would say the book I read maybe 2 years ago before the movies came out. But Clown in a Cornfield was probably the biggest disappointment. I mean, the writer, he's got a huge chip on his shoulder. It's very obvious throughout his writing. I mean, he's from Philadelphia, and he's got a very liberal hump on his shoulder. And it's just, like, I don't know. It bleeds into his work, but I feel like, his political leanings really take away from the story itself and don't really contribute to anything. And I think that was the biggest downfall, because he has a great premise, and I like the way the book started. And I think I had a lot of fun with it in the beginning. But the book falls off pretty quick. Most of the writing is pretty childish. The writing feels like it was written by like a 14-year-old kid who just never went back to re-edit it and fix things and fix grammatical errors, spelling, blah, blah, blah. So I really had an issue with Clown in the Cornfield. I mean, it's supposed to be schlocky horror and it's supposed to be kind of spooky and whatever, but then I feel like the elements of the book really took away from the fear aspect of it. And I really didn't feel anything about halfway through the book. And I just raced towards the end because I didn't care anymore. But I would say Clown in a Cornfield was a pretty big disappointment overall from a book perspective. Now this, especially from the fantasy world, I've heard a lot about. And this is another one. I mean, I read through a couple pages. It's a quick read. You can get through this pretty fast. And I probably will, but I've heard a lot about this, the Red Rising trilogy. So I had to pick it up. Again, 50% off at my Barnes & Noble. Really wanted to pick up a copy of that. My buddy Joey's been telling me about this series for years now. This is another one that, I got a bent cover, and the ending is chewed off, and I didn't even realize it when I bought it that half the book was chewed up. So, it's 50% off, so who cares? So, I don't even know how this ended up in the Barnes & Noble stack. They take very good care of their stuff, so. But this is Dan Simmons, Hyperion. I've heard a lot of great things, a lot of great things about this book and where this book goes into. So I think when I finish The Terror, this is where I want to go next, because The Terror is something I've really had my eye on and I've wanted to finish it. So I think once I finish that and maybe finish one of these, this is where I want to go next. I've heard a lot of great things about this. Now, we couldn't step into Barnes & Noble without checking out the merch. And when I say the merch, you know what I mean. So this was already 20% off. And then it was 50% off on top of that. Love this guy. Love where he comes from. Love this band. And I didn't know what this was. This is a deluxe edition, but I was so perplexed because I was like, what is this? This, of course, is The Mandrake Project by Bruce Dickinson. This deluxe edition is huge. This is not your normal CD case. So it's got all the basic tracks on there, but interestingly, this is where the meat comes into it. Limited edition, deluxe CD book, the brand new studio album from one of the greatest heavy metal vocalists of all time, Bruce Dickinson, obviously. But it includes Afterglow of Ragnarok and Rain on the Graves, right? But it includes an exclusive preview comic with cover art by Bill Sienkiewicz. What? So I really had no idea what was in store for me when I got this, but I love this album, and I really wanted to, as soon as I saw this was a deluxe edition, I was going to get it for a really cheap price. It needed to come home with Daddy. So the Mandrake Project, Bruce Dickinson. I can't wait to sink my teeth into this and see what this is all about. And last but not least, I did mention a gift from the Great Logan. Every year we do our vinyl exchange. We have a group, our girlfriends and us get together. We go drink beer. We go to a couple record stores. The girls treat themselves, and then we usually have a nice dinner. Well, this year, for a reunion, he came up and surprised me on my birthday, and it made my day. I was so happy. Well, he surprised me because he's been talking about this record for the longest time, and on vinyl specifically, because I did not have this on vinyl. Obviously, I knew the band, knew the songs, but Alter Bridge, One Day Remains on vinyl, and it sounds incredible. It's 180 gram double vinyl, and it comes on this gorgeous dark blue marbling. Absolutely beautiful. Look at that. Oh my god. Delicious. Delicious. But it's a fantastic album. If you don't know Alter Bridge, just play Metalingus and get it over with. No, I mean, this entire album is incredible. Like I said, double vinyl. It's got live tracks on there. Everything on here is fantastic. If you know Tremonti, if you know Creed, you should know Alter Bridge. And this is a phenomenal album. If you're thinking about what songs do I need to play, just go ahead and play Metalingus. It's okay. Just skip ahead. Just click it. You already know what you're getting yourself into. But no, every song on here is incredible. I love Broken Wings. I love Burn It Down. One Day Remains. Everything on this record is fantastic. But Broken Wings is phenomenal, obviously. And Burn It Down, Open Your Eyes, One Day Remains. I mean, everything on this record I love. It is just great hard rock. And it's like a perfect album. There's no filler tracks on there. Everything is well thought out. Everything is well written. It's just a great album. So when I saw that this was what I was getting in my annual vinyl exchange from the Great Logan, I was so happy because I kept delaying and delaying and delaying. And every once in a while, this album gets cheaper, but there's been a lot of times where this album is really expensive. So to get this, the double vinyl, my favorite cover is blue. To get the dark marbling blue color and this record on vinyl, 180 gram, it sounds amazing. I'm so happy. So thank you, my brother, for finally getting this album for me because I was slacking and not getting it on time. So that is all from me from this great haul from Barnes & Noble. Like I said, my childhood, my favorite Barnes & Noble of all time. It's a long, long drive for me, but it was well worth the adventure. I'm glad I got an opportunity to go there, especially with everything being 50% off. And then, of course, to bring home the Mandrake Project and Alter Bridge. So I hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys are taking care of each other. I hope you guys had a Merry Christmas, and I hope you guys have a wonderful New Year. Be on the lookout. End of the year, 2025 Best of playlist coming soon. Peace.